And we are back. This is Game 3 of the Vanquish Gaming 2v2 Gold Tournament Finals. We have the double Zerg, Magus and Inukshuq versus the Protoss Zerg, Freedom and Costanza. And if you just witnessed Game 2, then you know that Costanza and Freedom are not very happy with what happened. They got the match evened up by Inukshuq and Magus through a dual 7 pool. Considered very shady by some, but others would argue that, hey, in a tournament setting, all rules go. This is no holds bar. You do what it takes to win. So that's for every individual to decide, but definitely, arguably, a cheese move from Inukshuq and Magus. Not very happy on the Freedom Costanza side, who are planning to play a more straight-up battle. We'll have to see what both teams do in this case. It does not appear like any kind of 7 pull is happening. You see a very early scout from Costanza, not taking any chances this time around. Wants to make sure that he's not going to get any surprises, and we will have to see how this plays out. I have a feeling Costanza and Freedom definitely want some revenge after that dual 7 pull, and don't want to take any more chances with these guys. Double Zerg always very deadly in the early game, and we see basically matching spawning pools going down all around. No gas for Magus yet, and just a good solid buildup of droning and walking around. So we'll have to see how this plays out. Double gas going down for Costanza. See a nice gateway pulling up here as well. The scout returns, happily satisfied that there are no 7 pulls going on. We see lots of overlords flying around to keep the scouting down. We see more scouting going down from Inukshuq over here. Inukshuq and Magus definitely good at the scouting game. You see them sometimes doubling up on scouting duties, sending lots and lots of scouts out, sometimes multiple scouts at the same time. They really like to maintain as much map control as possible. We'll have to see if they go back to Operation Black Hawk Down with that constant stream of attacks. Very good playstyle for them, has been very successful. Game 1, we saw them kind of go away from it a little bit, go with more of a conservative approach, which falls right into the hands of Costanza and Freedom, and did not go well for them. So we'll have to see if they pick it back up. See Freedom going down with an early spine, going for protection. No eyes yet on the back door for either team. That will be critical. You know, you want eyes on those back doors just in case you get any kind of roaches or even Zerglings going back there whittling away. This being a mostly Zerg-based, you know, finals here with 3 out of 4 players being Zerg. You don't want to take any chances when the backdoor attacks. You always want to keep an eye on those. We see early expansions going down both for Inukshuq and Magus. It looks like they will try to go with some kind of macro game. This is very common for Magus, a little uncommon for Inuk, as he usually likes to play a little bit more all out on one base and then, you know, macro up later. We see Inukshuq finally getting some pressure on his scout, as these 2 Zerglings are definitely chasing him around, playing a very fatal game of tag, and that spine crawler just said, hey, it's time for cookies and milk, it's time to come to bed. Let's go, enough games. And here we see Freedom, his Overlord, also getting into some trouble, and this is pretty much top speed for an Overlord, so I'm guessing that this Queen is probably going to go ahead and take it down. We see Magus also creating some Zerglings of his own, and spreading out his own Overlords. We'll have to see who's going to go for the high yield first. It's kind of like a poker draw here on both sides of the map to see which team thinks they can hold such a wide open space and a Xel'Naga tower to boot. We'll have to see if anyone goes for that. No early expansions though from Costanza or from Freedom. Complete one basing at this point. We do see a Roach Warren down for Freedom and a Roach Warren down for Inuk. Also very typical builds for Inuk and Freedom. We'll see a Xel'Naga tower early on going into the hands of Magus. He wants to go ahead and take that map control as early as possible. Go ahead and take the Econ tab. Looks like it's pretty even across the board here. We do see Freedom falling a little behind with only 17 workers, but I'm sure that he's going to try to bounce back from that soon. He's never been one to kind of fall behind on the minerals too much. So we'll have to see what happens. Definitely see a nice Roach build up here. Look at this nice one basing. One basing as a Zerg, in my opinion, is always kind of a semi all-in. It's not a good idea to do it past the 10-minute mark. If you're on one base past the 10 minutes, you basically graduated into an all-in format as far as I'm concerned, because you're not going to have enough macro to really catch up or keep up in the mid game. This being 2v2 though, you do get a little bit of slack considering you have a teammate to kind of like cater and watch your back. So he may be able to still bounce back a little bit, but it's still going to be an uphill battle. I'd like to see him get that expansion as soon as possible. Looks like they may be going in for an early attack. You see very heavy Zealot and Sentry It's a very good build for anti-Zerglings. It's decent against roaches, especially with the sentry, field build-up. They will outrange a roach. You see that one Zergling going down. Don't want to get any eyes. They did see what Costanza has, but they do not see that Freedom is basically going ridiculous on these roaches. 16 roach build in effect. It's a little late though. Usually you see those 16 roaches out by the 7-minute mark, but again, he's a little bit outside his playstyle right now. Freedom definitely trying to change it up, being a little less predictable than he was in maybe the previous games. We see huge macro here. It's almost like a complete trading of places here. Inukshuq and Magus going for the complete macro build here. Very low on the units. You see only a handful of roaches, a couple back here. You see roaches actually from both players. Now Magus kind of abandoning the Zerglings a little bit, but he's shown nothing but Zerglings. So these Zealots are expecting a lot of Zerglings, and what they're going to find is a lot of roaches. Magus keeps sending these Zerglings out as scouts and as a little bit of harassment to kind of like lead maybe Costanza on, maybe leading them on to think, hey, we've got a lot of Zerglings here. But you know what? It's actually a very good adaptation for Magus, because his Zerglings are basically facing roaches and Zealots and Stalkers, and in that combination, Zerglings really just don't have much of a place. So we'll have to see what happens next. Inukshuq going for an observer, doesn't want to get caught off guard by any kind of DTs like he did in the first game. Definitely wants to prevent any econ harass, especially having these two early bases. Let's take a look at the econ tab now. Surprisingly, not a huge difference in minerals here. We're looking at an extra 200 max, but when you count the gas, they're kind of balanced out. Even the worker count is not really as high as you would think it would be. So, I mean, while there is an advantage definitely going to Inuk and Magus, it's not as much as you would think on the two bases. So we'll have to see definite rollout coming here. Look at that early Archon build. I always love to see an early Archon. It's just very exciting to see that big, huge blue ball just rolling around on the map early on like that. So deadly against Zerglings. See lots and lots of Zealots rolling out. They are charged up and ready to go, and they will be faced by a much smaller army over here, but definitely lots of roaches to kind of tank them. Oh no, and you see more coming in from behind as those Zealots kind of get a partial surrounds. And we do have the action broken by a little bit of lag here from Freedom. Hopefully nothing too serious. It is ticking down though. This could not be good. Oh, and he's back. Thank God. We didn't want to lose him again. We've had enough drops for one day, I think. And oh my goodness, look at these roaches just power roaching right into this, trapping him in with this warm hug from the force field, just saying, hey, come here, I want to give you some love. And oh, it just completely obliterates it. And there is just nothing here. All this macro, but not enough units to make up for it. And while they went solid on the macro game, unfortunately, they just did not build enough units to match this. They did not expect such an aggressive one-base attack from Costanza and Freedom. It's normally not their motive, normally not their playstyle. They've completely caught them off guard, and Inukshuq go ahead and quits the game, followed shortly by Magus most likely, as this is definitely a big surprise for them. They did not expect such an early attack, especially one-basing from both of them. They tried to play a macro game, and they got caught with a one-base. Very devastating for them. And we don't see Magus quitting just quite yet. It looks like he wants to stay in, maybe try to, I don't know, pull some kind of miracle here. And there's the GG from Magus. And wow, just a very surprising turn of events there, changing up a little bit of their playstyle. And Game 3 goes to Costanza and Freedom, giving them a 2-1 lead. And we'll have to see what happens in this best of 7 series. Game 4 coming right up.